Hey guys, Zack here, and welcome back to another action figure review, and today we'll be taking a look at the Godzilla 65th Anniversary 3.5-inch Shin Godzilla. Now this version of Godzilla comes from the 2016 film Shin Godzilla, which I've said this before in the previous Godzilla video, but in case you haven't seen that video, I'll quickly explain it here, but Shin Godzilla is actually my second favorite Godzilla movie of all time. There are so many things about it that to me are just really good. The soundtrack is really good, the story itself is really good, and Godzilla himself, the director decided to take a very interesting take on Godzilla, where it's not the traditional Godzilla. They bring a lot of new things to the table when it comes to the character, but they manage to still keep that Godzilla feel, which I honestly love. So, yeah. I get that there are people who don't love Shin Godzilla. In fact, I know that there are actually quite a few people who actually kind of hate Shin Godzilla, but me personally, I think Shin Godzilla is a very good movie, so yeah. Anyway, with all of that out of the way, let's get into this. So first, we'll take a look at the painting on this figure. And the painting on this figure, it's pretty bare. There's not a lot of painting here at all. In fact, there are only like a few bits that are painted, but yeah, it's not great. So let's take a closer look. So as we can see here, most of the body is the traditional charcoal black that we're pretty much used to seeing on Godzilla at this point. We do have some bits of red in the tail right here, which does look a little sloppy, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, that's a thing. The painting on the back looks alright, and the painting on the chest of the red here looks very nice, kind of. Not great, but nice. Going to the head here, we can see that the eyes are painted white with no pupils, and the teeth are painted a brownish color, which is actually accurate to the movie. And lastly, the toenails here are painted well, they're airbrushed a bonish whitish color, which does look nice, but yeah. The rest of the painting here is very empty and very just non-existent. Also, for some reason on mine, there's a bit of a paint blemish right here, which I don't necessarily get why. At first I thought that was just part of the cardboard, but no, that's just on the figure, so yeah. And that's pretty much it for the painting on this figure. Pretty empty, I'm not gonna lie. The painting, it's empty and it doesn't look all that great. So unfortunately, the painting on this figure, I'd say gets a quarter of a pass. There are still some minor things about the paint that does look nice, but it's still very lacking. So yeah, a quarter of a pass I think is fair. So yeah. Anyway, now I'll take a look at the articulation and excuse me. The articulation is also something that's very disappointing about this figure, because it's only in the legs here. The legs can move 360, and that's pretty much it. No articulation in the arms or anything like that, not in the tail or head, just the legs, which is honestly below average for a Bandai Movie Monster Series figure. So the articulation I'd say gets about, it gets a half a pass. It's not a full pass. You know, there are Bandai Movie Monster Series figures that do actually have no articulation, so I guess this is kind of better, but the lack of articulation is still, like, not great. So, yeah. Anyway, a half a pass, I think, is fair for the articulation here. Now I'll take a look at the sculpt, and the sculpting on this figure is good, though I do have some minor nitpicks. First of all, the arms, I feel like, are a little too big. If they're just a little smaller, I feel like that'd look a little better, but yeah, they are a little too big, and there's nothing I can really do about that. Though, I will say this, unlike with the Bandai Movie Monster Series figure, they actually have the hands pointing upwards, which I do appreciate. So, yeah, that's always a nice thing. And lastly, the tail, I feel like, is way too short. If this was just, like, up to here, maybe, I feel like that'd look a lot better, because in Shin Godzilla the movie, his tail was very long, but here, it's actually very short, so yeah. But other than the arms and the tail, I still feel like the sculpting on this figure is still very nice. So the sculpting on this figure, I'd say gets 3/4 of a pass. Now I'll take a look at the detailing, and the detailing is actually very good. So taking a look at the head here, if my camera can focus, we can see that all of the creasing and all of the cracks and bumps and whatnot look very well defined. And that nice detailing continues all the way to the neck, All of that bit of musculature and all of that tearing of the flesh there looks really nice. And going to the front of the body here, all of the detailing here looks very well defined, which actually looks very nice. And all of the creasing throughout looks very good. The detailing on the legs, again, look very nice. Everything here looks very nicely defined. And that looks great. The detailing on the dorsal plates, again, look very nice. And going to the tail, we have more creasing and folds and whatnot, which look very nicely defined. Very nice. But at the end of the tail here, I will admit, does look a little trashy. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the detailing on this figure. And the detailing on this figure is actually very good. So the detailing on this figure definitely gets a pass. So at the end of the day, should you get this? The painting, it's non-existent. The sculpting, it's not 1-to-1, and the articulation, a little below average, but the detail on this figure is still very nice, and this isn't an awful figure by any means. But I will still say this, I'd say that this is a figure you could definitely skip out on. Again, it looks nice, it doesn't look great, but it does look kind of nice, but if you were to get any, affordable Shin Godzilla figure, I'd say either get the NECA or get the Bandai Movie Monster Series Shin Godzilla, because, yeah, the painting there isn't really great, but it has a better sculpt and more articulation, so definitely get the Bandai Movie Monster Series Shin Godzilla. Skip out on this, but if you see it, I mean, if you want it, it wouldn't do any harm, but if you could, then I'd say skip out on this figure. I believe this figure is on eBay for about 14 bucks, though I do believe you can get this figure at Walgreens for a bit cheaper. I'd say that this figure is worth 10 bucks, so yeah, if you can get it for 10 bucks, that's great, but if you can only get it for 14 bucks, then, whatever, but yeah. Anyway, if you want to know how big he is, here he is next to Dr. Billy Grant. Alright, now that is it for today. Have a great rest of your week, and I will see you in the next video. Peace, Zack out.